Good morning, everyone. Spencer Ross with One Step Forward, and I'm gonna do a little bit different video today. So, I'm kind of frustrated, and there's a bunch of reasons why. But in this week, when we're talking about encouragement, I want to make it relevant. Okay, so I've got two trees behind me. Cool thing about this technology, right, is that I can see what I'm taking a picture of. Sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes you do a blue screen, and that's okay. But for this video specifically and what's going on in your life, hopefully this has an impact on you. So there's two trees behind me. One's got pretty color to it. I can see it outside my window, and another one's green. All right, so imagine your life. You are a tree. So one's green and one's pretty. Well, is the other one pretty as well? I think so. It's just in a different season. Right now in the northern hemisphere, we're approaching winter. Some places are a lot colder than it is here. It's about 55 right now. And the tree to my left, this one, has different colors than green. Okay. Well, it's also got different leaves too. It's got different bark. It's a different tree. So it's going at a different time, at a different schedule. That doesn't make it wrong. Not only that, it could be affected differently by the wind. Maybe there's a different wind pattern that affecting one tree or the other one. The one to my right is still green, and for that season, for that kind of tree, that's the way it's appropriate. There are trees that get transplanted from one place to another, and they still maintain their old living conditions, I guess is a good way to put it. For example, jacaranda trees are from Australia, and they are green this time of year, in many places, not just Australia, and then they lose their leaves in the spring, and so then they look dead, and people complain, and then it goes to leaf again, and it's just at a different season. What season are you in? So I was taking some notes last night about this, and people will encourage you. They will encourage you in different ways, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. Maybe they want to encourage you to see you fail because they haven't succeeded. You ever had that? Yeah, they're encouraging you to do something that's wrong, that won't work. They know it won't work. It's not that they have good intentions, they have bad intentions. They are angry, they're bitter, and they're encouraging you to do something that will not work, and they know it will not work. Maybe because they don't like you. Yeah, go do that. They don't have your best intentions at heart. They don't like you. They don't want to see you succeed, not because they haven't succeeded. It's because they don't like you and they want you to fail. So they will encourage you to do something that you cannot. It's actually impossible. Oh yeah, go for that job. Go get that whatever. Well, you can't get it. It's unattainable. There are people who need to get background checks. Well, you're not going to pass the background check, not because of unprofessional activities by the background investigator, but because you went to jail and it's not going to work. Or better example, I'd love to be a pilot. Being a jet pilot, fighter pilot, that'd be cool. My eyes will never allow me to do that. No matter any surgery I get, it's not going to happen. Okay, Spencer, go, you can do it. I could waste so much time going for that. Maybe they want to sell you something. Maybe their goal is to make money. So they are going to sell you something. That doesn't mean you go in a store and everybody in there is bad or wrong or whatever. It just means that they have an a motive other than your best interest at heart. Arterial. I'm not saying that right. That's all right. There's a difference between something you do and you don't need. So if you're going for a car, you need a car, and someone sells you a car that you don't need, they're taking advantage of you. But they are encouraging you So you need to be careful with what you're doing. If you're just going, okay, I'm a leader because I'm encouraging people, don't take advantage of people. Trying to not let people take advantage of you. It's political season in America a couple days ago, and in the UK they're talking about it, and countries talk about it around the world. Sometimes it's a dictatorship when it's talking about politics, dating, business, religion, sports, professionalism. The New York Times, the evening briefing email I got, had a good discussion about people encouraging others to do something that was not in their best interest, whether it's breaking the law or in sports, just getting yourself thinner just to be thinner. And is that going to make you stronger? Is that going to make you faster? I don't know. It depends. But are you getting different points of view in mentorship? Are you going to the doctor and getting a secondary opinion? There's lots of people who will encourage you. That's not what the first video is about. It's not. Being a leader, yeah, encourage people. Awesome. Take encouragement. Awesome. But you need to be wise in that encouragement. If someone's encouraging you to do the wrong thing, there was another email, not from the New York Times, but I believe it was the Wall Street Journal, talking about people stealing stuff. And it was a company-wide thing. It wasn't just one person who made one mistake. It was a repeated mistake over and over, and a bunch of people were doing it. Possibly they were encouraging each other. Oh, it's okay. Cheat on your time card. I was reading a thing about Iraq and the pervasiveness of bribes and corruption. And then companies talking about it's the cost of doing business is having to pay that bribe. It happens in America. It happens in Little League. It happens so many places. What are you going to do? Are you going to stand up and not take the bribe? Are you going to stand up and tell someone else not to take the bribe? Are you going to pay your people an appropriate wage so that they aren't as tempted as much as they would be if they weren't paid a good wage? And we can debate what a good wage is and what encouragement is, but a good leader does not take advantage of other people. A good leader does not let their bias, and it's good to be biased, but you need to be careful with that. So maybe they're tired or lazy. They give up arguing with you and they say, fine, go do it. That's not encouragement. Maybe they're being lazy and they just don't know and they're just like, all right, yeah, go do it. But they have the ability to help you, but they're not going to because they're not going to put the effort in. That's not good leadership. Maybe they just don't know. That's a little bit different, and that's not what I'm talking about. So if, let's say, you're making an axe and you're trying to, or even a cake, keep it simple, like baking a cake, and they encourage you to do it. Well, I don't know how to make a cake. I can encourage you to make a cake, but I'm not going to be as effective as a baker, right? Because that's their skill set. That's their knowledge. So there's a tree behind me, and it doesn't look very good. Well, it hasn't looked very good for a while. In life, whether you're at different stages or at the same stage, right? Because there's lots of oak trees, and you look into a forest of oak trees or a forest of pines or sequoias or redwoods or mahogany, whatever it may be, and you see one tree that stands out. Maybe it's grown a little taller. It's a little greener. Or maybe it's a little sicker. Is the sick tree going to accept criticism? Is the sick tree going to accept the encouragement of those around them saying, yeah, you're doing great, but I feel something's wrong? Like, no, everything's fine. There is a balance to that, right? And I'll cover that in another video, and I've covered that in other videos. But there comes a point when you've got to listen to what you're seeing. Hey, I'm not growing as tall as that guy. Well, maybe it's your season. And sometimes that's frustrating to hear. Maybe you got to take the class over again. Maybe you do need to get trimmed, like the tree behind me. there was a tree at the school and it had holes in it. Lots of holes from bugs. Lots of holes. I took pictures, I told people about it, and everyone was like, no, trees are good. Trees are good. Yes, they are, but this tree appears to be sick. It's got huge holes in it. Nope, everything's fine, Spencer. You just want to chop down all the trees. So one day, a branch bigger than my fist fell off. It was not a windy day. So I said in an email, again, the tree is sick. It needs to come down. I can't tell what's wrong with it, but if we get an arborist out here, maybe you can look at it. But I am letting you know a tree branch has fallen off that's over 3 inches diameter on a non-windy day. And so people complain that I just wanted to chop down all the trees and I didn't love trees and all this stuff about their love for trees and green and the forest. And because I sent out an email, people didn't want to take the liability, so they chopped down the tree. There was a 6-inch hole down the center of the tree that you could not see from the outside. This stump behind me, these two trees look the same. This tree, the stump behind me, looked that way in the summertime. The tree behind me was much more greener in the summertime, and it's fall now, so it has a lot less leaves. But it's dropping its leaves a lot faster than normal. This sick tree, this stump behind me, possibly infected this other tree. But they didn't chop this tree down until 2 days ago when I turned in the parking lot and I had to stop because there was a branch down in the tree. Half the tree had fallen off. And they decided to chop down the other half because they're like, hey, it's a non-windy day. In this instance, for a tree, for a huge branch to fall, big stump, the branch was over 6 inches in diameter, we should probably protect our organization and chop down the tree. So why am I talking about tree and wait, there are people who have their bias of go do it. You're good. No, I don't feel good. Something's wrong. Maybe you need to be trimmed. Maybe you need different mentors. Maybe you need different counselors. Maybe you need to ignore them altogether because someone in their preconceived notion wants you to buy something. They want you to fail. Whether they like you, don't like you, too lazy to give you mentorship, whatever it may be. I have a preconceived bias. I think you're amazing. And I watched a YouTube video saying that I need to stop calling people amazing because they're not. You're not born amazing. You need to act amazing. I thought that was really good. And I disagree. I think that everyone's amazing. But that is a good point. You need to act amazing. You do need to act in a mature way. I need to act in a mature way. You can listen to the people around you who are giving you encouragement that's bad for you and die. And things get old and die and or break or lightning hits them. And that's not what I'm talking about. Let's use some common sense. Listen to the encouragement that's good and healthy. Ignore the bad stuff. Still listen to it. See if you need to adjust something because toxic people can still give you good advice. But they just usually do it in a toxic way. We still need to mentor those people. We still need to be those people's friends. Is this the best YouTube video that I've ever made? Probably not. Is this the best YouTube channel to get leadership advice? I don't know. But when you are going for mentorship or when you are trying to be encouraged, are you going to listen to people when you are clearly sick? When you are clearly struggling, who aren't helping you and who have no intention of helping you? One of the reasons why I'm frustrated is because there are people who this week in multiple situations where I've read in the news around the world, whether, again, corruption in Iraq or the corruption in Afghanistan, corruption in America, politics and all the issues with that around the world, wherever it may be, people who will negatively encourage you to do the wrong thing. We need to stop that. Good leadership does not do that. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be right. You're going to give someone advice and it's not going to work out. You're going to work on a project. You're going to do all the planning right, and something's going to happen. The building's going to be burned down. There's going to be a theft from an outside person, not an internal person, but someone from the outside. You can't plan for that. You're going to do a bake sale, and someone comes in and steals all the electrical wire out of your building, and now your stove doesn't work. That's not what I'm talking about. As a leader, as a good leader, are you encouraging those around you so that they can be the best that they can be, like possibly that nice, beautiful green tree? Or are you encouraging people to keep doing something that's clearly hurting them? Spencer Ross was one step forward, and as you go through this week, you can measure stuff. You can see a building behind me. There are standards. Do you know them? Are you encouraging people to follow them? Or are you encouraging people to cut corners? Are you encouraging people to something that they will never attain? Maybe you tell someone that, hey, maybe you adjust something and it turns out that you were wrong. That's, again, good job for trying. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to be able to fly. Well, I need a parachute. Jumping off a building with no parachute is not going to enable me to fly. Keep it in context. Be real. Get mentorship yourself. When you're giving mentorship, take advice. Even from the toxic people, yeah. Because even the toxic person who's a good arborist, a tree person who works on trees, they might be able to tell you to trim or to fertilize or to address the bug situation or the fungus situation at the right time. So if you're a tree or a human being, are you listening to the advice that's toxic, that's going to set you up for failure? Or are you going to get lots of different mentorships so you can be a nice, beautiful green tree? Spencer Ross was one step forward. And as you go forward this week, are you measuring things by what you hear? Measuring what you hear by reality. Have a good week.